Well, hello guys. What I am doing today is I decided that I needed an easel for drawing because I used to just have my glass thing that I use leaned up against a wall. You'll see it coming up. But I made myself an art room, which I will be doing a video on soon. But I wanted to go ahead and show you making the easel that I made for the desktop because I looked through a lot of easels, easel designs of people making them online, and none of them jumped out to me, and they seemed more complicated than I needed. So I thought I would just do a very simple design and show you how I make it and explain along the way because I was almost figuring out as I went, but it ended up being very simple, very functional, and I'm really happy with it. So it's coming up. It's not a nice polished production. I'm just carrying my camera around and showing you how I made it. So don't expect it to be, here's a great shot of me cutting wood and here's a great shot of me measuring and marking things. It is not. It's kind of guerrilla, photography, and just more for function over substance over making it pretty. I don't know why I'm having trouble thinking of the words I'm looking for. Um, Substance over style is what I was looking for. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and I hope it's functional and useful to you. Um, Let me know how it turns out. Last thing. Mine is made just for my room. I don't expect anybody else to really see it other than me. So I didn't worry about making it all pretty, and it's all made from wood I have here at my house. I didn't go to the store for anything. If you were making it and wanted to get some really nice wood and all that, I think it would look very pretty when it was done, and just take the extra time. I was getting through it as quick as I could. So you got that. All right. Good luck. Hope it works out for you. All those things. I'm going to show you how to make it and make it to where you can see just the basics of it, because you'll of course have to do your own measurements depending on how you want it to be. So what I'm doing is I'm using this piece of glass, which is off of a storm door. I've kept this for probably 10, 15 years, and I will put up where I had it out in my rec room when I had my little drawing station there just up against a wall. But now that I've put together my art room, which I will just pan across, I'm not going to show you too much because I'm going to be doing something on just my art room. I will be mounting that into this frame I just made because as I was figuring out how I'm going to make this with all of this, a little bit of that, I decided that I needed to make the frame because I am going to attempt to make it to where this is portable and will fold up in on itself. Even though I plan on only using it in my room, I want to make it to where other people can utilize this to make it something more portable. And if you want, instead of using glass, which is just my preferred thing, because if I wanted to backlight it to be able to trace something or anything like that, glass sure is handy. But you could do this with wood as well. It would make it a little bit lighter for sure. Please excuse my cat meowing in the background. He's seeing birds outside. So I will zoom in. Basically, here are my wood pieces that I've got to use. It's just a big mess at the moment, but it is going to turn into an art table or an art easel that I think will be very workable. Alrighty. And there he comes. So anyway, that's where we're at. We're going to turn all that into something nice. So let's go. All right, guys, next step. I put in some angle braces all the way around. And that will keep things nice and square because when I lay the glass on here, I am going to glue it to the wood. Now, if you were using wood, it would be easier because you could just nail it down, but I'm going to be using glue to attach it to there and then it will be nice and secure for when I fold it up to carry around because of the braces. So it's that type brace. All right, these are the screws I use because I'm using 5/8 inch wood, but when you put in the little tiny bit that you're going to get from that, it means it won't poke through on the other side, which it did not. So they're handy little guys and not that expensive, because all of this is about keeping costs down but getting you something great to work with. All right, next step. All right, so I threw in some glue, put it all the way around as quickly as I could because I'm just using like a fast glue, and then went ahead and clamped all the way around. Because it was a pretty fair tight fit, and the bottom fit nice and tight, gave me a nice lip for painting or drawing, whatever I end up doing. So there we go. That is the next step. You could do the same if you wanted to glue the wood instead of nail it, but that's an option. And if you're wondering, there are holes in the wood and things like that, I'm using wood that I just had around here. I didn't buy anything for this. I'm just using what I have around my house. Okay guys, so sticking with my using things I've got around the house to make this and not going and buying anything, I was originally going to use this piece as the support, but I don't know if you can see it. Okay, there. See, it meets up. This board has a warp in it. And since I want this to be able to close up, I'm not going to use this board that was perfect, other than the warp. So what I've decided on is this. I think it'll still give me the decent amount of support that I need side to side, because this is so firm that it's really not going to let it have a lot of give. And this will give me a really good base, and it's a very straight, good wood that is not going to warp at all. And what this will allow me to do is have the other piece. Let's go over here. This is the piece I decided to be the base. And you'll see how it fits on in a minute, but it will be able to fold up inside of the frame. This frame here. If I wanted to take it anywhere, I could just fold everything up into this frame and just take it with me. And, it's a large piece, so, because I tend to work on large drawings, so, you could make this much smaller if you wanted. That just lets you know that this support piece right here, this could be either this width, it could be smaller, it could be wider. You could make it exactly the same width with a piece of plywood as this, and then just cut it to fit the inside. Cut it to fit the inside of this, and it would fold inside because it will be hinged right up here. So there you go. When you're working with what you have at the house, that's what you do. Now the other thing is, instead of having to go buy hinges, just find something around your house that has hinges that you don't use. It could be an old cabinet or whatever. I have this piece of this desk that has no discernible use. I think it might have been for a keyboard. I never figured it out. So these hinges are perfect for what I'm doing. I've got 4 of them. And actually I have another one of these pieces if I needed more. But 4 should be plenty. I'm thinking of doing 1 on here and then maybe 3 across the bottom. And that will be all I need. And we will have a complete drawing easel that is simple to make, easy to move around, and effective. And that's all we're looking for. So let's get to it. So I had that other piece of wood that was actually a little narrower than this, probably about to here, that I was going to use, but I was going to have to cut it off, and it was a good 4-foot piece. went out and found this in my shed, and that is what I'm going to have to cut off of it to make this better. And it's a good straight flat board, give me a little wider support, so it'll be kind of splitting the difference between the two and making it good. So I'm going to go ahead and make you do this one. So there you go. Just keep looking, you'll probably find some scrap that you can use that's perfect. All right, so here we are. We got it cut. See, fits right down in there. And since the hinges are going to be going up in here, I don't have to account for the length of the hinges, or the thickness of the hinge. And then here you see the difference in the size of the boards, and the fact that this one was so much longer. And hate to lose a perfectly good board that's this long if I can get by with something that's pretty much right there, close enough to fit. Now all I got to do is, okay, and I took that, made it fit pretty tight. So all you want to do now is just measure both sides in here if you're doing a smaller board, and make sure that the measurements match so that you're getting it nice and centered. And if you're using a whole board, you don't have to do that, obviously. All right, let's get to the next part. All right, here we go. I went ahead and went with these longer screws because the screws that came with, that I took out were really small. And I wanted to have it be a little more secure. So I went ahead and went with the bigger screws and figured that would help with the stability. Of course, when you're doing that, make sure you don't get screws that are deeper than your wood, or else you're going to have them poking out the back. These are really close. If you look, there's just the tiniest little hint of a tip there. But I'm not worried about it because it's not going to be anything that I'm going to get close to. So there you go. And now we will go to checking where I want to hinge along the bottom to where the wood will either fold up into here or fold up and then sit against, but against here. But I'm going to put it over there and see what works best. And then since I'm doing it, you don't have to. All right, so here we go. Let me show you the amount of angle we get. For my purposes, this angle is enough. I don't do watercolors or anything like that I have to worry about it running too much. It's almost all going to be pencil drawings and paintings. And of course, if you're new to drawing or just don't ever think about it, when you draw, if you have an angle away from you, like if you're drawing with something laying flat on a table, the perspective of the paper changes how the actual thing is. You can sit and draw something, think it's perfect. When it's laying down, then you stand it up, and the perspective of it going away from you makes a big difference and can sometimes make the whole drawing suck. When I did the super glue for the glass, some of it ran down, so I've got to scrape that off. Wiped it with a paper towel, but I got to scrape it off. So you see up in here, we've just got the hinges. It only goes back that far. If you want to have one that angles back more, just get a longer piece of wood, a deeper piece of wood. And of course, once again, using what I had around here, that was a really good solid piece of plywood. It doesn't quite come to the edge all the way along here, but it really doesn't matter. It's going to fold up in there and it's going to give me plenty of support. And once I hinge it in two places, that should be more than enough, because I'll be hinging it on the inside most likely. So I came to a realization as I was getting ready to attach the back piece that if I want it to fold up in here, I had these out in the center. But if I did that, then when I fold that up, it would catch on the lip of this little bracket here. So I went ahead and moved them as close to the glass as possible, which left me about a 3/4 inch opening there. So when I close the board up, it will close up, to the right width. And of course, I did it on both sides. Now here's a great example of figuring things out as you go. Because this is going to end up sitting in here, I'll probably put it about right here. When it closes up, that's how it's going to be when it goes. And if you look, I didn't have to move that bracket because this is the depth that would be so that it would actually sit flat. And since I'm putting it in here, I didn't have to make room for it. But either way, that's a good lesson. If you want to center this bracket up, if you were using something this small, then you can. Depends on how you want this backboard to fit. Make sure if you want it to close up that you put it against the glass so that when it closes this way, it'll be fine. Because if you had it centered, you'd have to go ahead and make sure to cut it to allow for that bracket right there. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, just comment and I will answer any questions you may have and explain myself further. I'll probably do it in text as well on the screen as you're seeing this. All right, so let's get to attaching this. Because I've got to put it in here, I obviously want to attach it to the board first, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to get on the other side of that. If I screwed this one in here first, I couldn't get on the other side to screw in these. So I've got to attach it to the board first and then go from there. Okay, now obviously, you might be inclined to put it flush with the back of the board. If you do that, your holes get really close to the edge. So go ahead and center it up on here. Depends on what kind of hinge you have. This one is luckily like a 3/4 hinge, and I don't mind that it's sitting up a little bit because it's still going to be secure and sturdy. So you can go ahead and have it hang off the edge. I'll show you when it's all done that it's still sturdy. Okay? All right, now we have a choice to make. There are two different ways we could do this. Go ahead and have the hinge sit off the edge like that, which would get the board down a little bit closer, and it would also give you a little bit of space between here when it closes. Now this will be important because if you're going to use, well, I'll wait until I get this attached to show you why it's important. But the other option is to go ahead and put this all the way up on the edge, which is what I'm going to do. I want to go ahead and have it to where this is flush. And I do have a reason for doing that, which you will see after I get this attached. So just put those up on there. Then what I'll do is lay something on here so that I can open it up and have it sit properly while I screw it in. But you see, it all folds in nice and tidy. Nothing sticking out. And if you were doing a full board, of course up here, you would want to leave yourself a little bit of a gap for it to clear these hinges. So you would only want to come to here. So when you were cutting your piece for inside, go ahead and take off probably about 3/4 of an inch just to give yourself a little bit of leeway. So make this board from top to bottom about 3/4 of an inch short. And then on the sides, of course, you would make it about 1/4 of an inch short on each side, so 1/2 an inch. So take off 3/4 from top to bottom, and then where you've got to clear this bracket, you're going to want to do 1/2 an inch off. That would, be an aggregate of 1/4 on each side. So I know that sounds a little confusing, but I think you'll get what I mean. Alrighty. All right, now here's one little thing that makes me happy. If you notice, while this is folded up, it's still freestanding. So board across the bottom and all of the squaring and everything must be good, or it would be falling over. So you notice now we've got our board, swings nicely, and I'll show you how it goes into place, and then I will explain about the other part that we need to discuss. I'm going to show you another mistake that sometimes you don't notice on paper right away, but when you get it all put together. Originally I planned for this to sit down even. So what I was talking about with getting it to clear, if you just lay it forward, then you can pull your board up, and then as you lift it up, it will sit on top. I know that wasn't the best shooting right there, but you know, I'm trying to show you how to make an easel, not shoot the best video in the world. Okay, so right now it's standing on its own. This is just standing kind of free. Doesn't seem to want to fall. Anyway, right now I've got it opened up and it is freestanding straight up at the moment. So let's take a look at that. It is straight. I'm going to go ahead and drop it back to the furthest spot, which is right there. And there we go. Got a nice little angle. It's all peachy keen. What I do, since I use glass, is I use a tape that's that won't stick to the paper, you know, that won't grab the paper when I go to peel it off. But I use tape and tape my drawing paper up on there, and then that way I can draw there. And when I built my little thing here, that statue will move, by the way. That monitor over there then becomes my reference rather than having to print out paper. And with it being glass, if I was doing something small enough, I could move the monitor right here behind the glass if I wanted. If I was drawing over here, then I could have the monitor right there. So you give yourself all kinds of options using glass. Like I said, you can also then project from behind it with or you know, use light behind it if you want to trace. You give yourself lots of options, but that's all I'll say. Now, here's where I was going to explain. Okay, here's what I was going to explain earlier. You have to put something behind here for this to catch on. And you're going to want to put like 5 of them if you want to have different angles that you can get. You can see right there, we've got just a little bit of an angle if you prefer that. Anywhere all the way up to almost straight. All right, so this will now be my drawing area. And I'm pretty happy with it. I will move this monitor out, most likely when I'm working. I'll bring it out to where I can have my reference photo on it right there. And then I have room in front to lay pencils. I'm thinking of making a little thing that I can stand my pencils up in so that I can really see the ones I'm working with and keep them organized. Haven't done it yet. As far as the supports in the back, okay, they only have to be high enough to stop that from sliding. I'm not even sure I really need them, but I'm going to go ahead and put them on there anyway. And where that comes into play is what I was talking about earlier. So I'm going to close this up and then I'll show you what I mean. All right, so let's say you've put your supports on back there. Now you've got probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch high that would be, you know, stops for your support. And then when you close this, this comes up flush. Now, the way I've done it is I left a little gap so that when this is flush with the back, it still leaves room for my supports on there. Depends on how deep you want your supports. I don't think mine need to be very deep at all. So I'll just do tiny strips of border, like you'd use on trim. I'll just do tiny strips of trim. You could do that. You could use dowels. Go ahead and drill into there and put dowels in. And then if you wanted to do dowels, your option there would be, once they were in, then when you close this, put some charcoal or something on the top of your dowel, close it against here, mark your board to where you can see where the dowels would go, and then drill holes in this so that your dowels actually go into the board. You have several options. So my option is just the strips because I don't think this is going to move much. But my other thought earlier was dowels if I was going to be doing two supports, on either side. One over here and one over there. I would do dowels on here. And then I would put my supports in here on a swivel so that they could just swing out. So, you've got those options. You could also notch these on the edges and have your dowels, your support would have a dowel sticking out here and it would sit into the little notches along the edge. You have lots of options with this design. So this is just the one I chose. Something else may work better for you. And so there you go. We are complete. Hey guys, I just wanted to show you how I work, and also a little addition to this that may come in handy for you. Okay. Now if you notice, since I used glass and it had a frame, it sits up slightly, and then I put a felt face on it to make it soft, but it's about maybe 1/4 of an inch. And what I did was I found an old plate from a door, and I use it, and let me put it on top of the picture so you can see. All right, I use it to rest my hand on when I'm working, and it gives me that little bit of space. So see, when I'm working, I'm go ahead and rest my hand on there, draw without worrying about smudging the picture, and I can just slide it, just slide it as I need to and never have to worry about it touching the face of the picture. It's a simple thing. I'm going to go ahead and paint it black as well, because I'm going to paint the entire thing black except for the piece of wood back there. Because I've got gold walls, you see my gold walls, I'm deciding if I want to have that black or not. I may just leave it that color to kind of, aesthetically blend with the wall a bit. I may even paint it to the same gold color. But for now, I'm just going to be painting the base and the front of this black. And the inside, of course. So it's going to be all black except for that one piece, and that may end up black as well. I don't really know yet. So anyway, that's where I'm at on that, but I thought this might be a nice little tip because you see it sits right down here on the shelf and will just slide across. And it has really been a nice addition to how I draw. I did it on both these drawings and had no smears whatsoever. One little note that I didn't show was that I just used finish nails to go ahead and hold the pieces together. I didn't need more than two since I was going to be doing the brackets on the inside. So since the brackets are going in, it was just a couple to hold it all in place while I got those done. You could use screws, whatever you want, but I used finish nails, so there you go. Hey guys, want to show you one more step that I took. I decided since the bottom piece was going to be flat against the desk, I would put felt on it. So I luckily had felt laying around here. And you know, it didn't have to fit perfectly. Now, look, if you all are making this for yourself and want to put the little extra effort in to make every corner perfect, everything perfect, that's great. And if I wanted to put more time into it, I would. But I'm making something functional just for me that's really probably never going to go out of this room. So I'm not too worried about, you know, where I came up short on material there. And something for you to check if you do this. Let me see if I can get the light to catch it right. Okay, you see these little bumps right here and here? Yeah, it's mainly just these two. They were places in the wood because I didn't use the best wood in the world. If you use really good wood, you won't have to worry about this. But little raised spots in the wood. There you go, now you can really see them. See, like right there and there. And another one there. Another one there. What I will probably do is go ahead and trim around this and cut that out and not worry about that there's a little bare spot showing through because it's on the bottom of the thing. What do I care? You know? And this will still be stuck all around it. It's, you know, because I adhered it with, let me show you what I used. All right. This is what I used to go ahead and put, you know, to go ahead and just spray this on here. I also put it on the underside here because that's going to be touching. Got a tiny bit of glue right there that, you know, it's all a matter of working fast because I live in Florida and it's 90 degrees outside. So I think that you could make something really pretty on your own and functional. And who knows, you could stain the wood, you could do anything you want to it and make a beautiful easel, I think. I'm giving you the basics for constructing the thing. So that's where we're at. I'm about to set it up and go ahead and tape up my first piece that I may work on. Not positive if it'll be the one, but we'll see. I also want to show you, if I haven't already, oh, by the way, when I sprayed this, I didn't really worry too much about it being perfect. I may go and add felt or something or some kind of contact paper on top of it, just black contact paper to give it a nice even finish on the back, and that'll be good. But the main thing I want to show you is that I don't think I'm even going to need little stops back here because this is like really sturdy. And when I lean it and let it stop, it's still just as sturdy. And then I can just take it all the way to the back. Doesn't want to move at all. Probably because it's wood on wood, so it doesn't really have much to it. And if I wanted to put something down that had a little bit of a texture to it on this back piece here, then that would also maybe help the stand there grab if you don't want to have to put little dividers along the back. All right, those are your options. Hopefully this video will help someone. Let me go ahead and throw a drawing up on it. All right, guys, here we are. So we have my picture on there. Keep in mind that I tend to like to work big. And since I'll be using this also for painting as well, I tend to do fairly big paintings too. So you could, of course, make this much smaller, and it would be much more portable for you. This is just how I made it for my situation. But, you see, I've got my picture that I laid out a few months ago, and since I've been working on my art room, have not gotten around to doing, I just laid it out. But I will be showing you a little thing on making my entire art room and how I did it with just what I had around the house and reused furniture, things like that. So we will be getting to that soon. Hopefully you look forward to it, and I will see you then. By the way, the felt on the bottom worked great. It's here, let me move it so you can see. See, nice and smooth, very little effort. Makes me happy. So there we are. I got it covered in black felt, and it is going to work great. It's very comfortable now. And you can't see the holes that were in it. So you gotta like that. And of course it just still moves along. Just purty as a picture. All right. This video is done.